Hello, Amy. Welcome to the Introbiz Global Summit. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I'm very excited.
Yay, excellent. Great stuff. Well, I know we're going to inspire loads of people today. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of overview of Amy's story. So Amy was born in South Wales in the UK. She was the youngest of three sisters, was submerged in music from an early age. She entered her first talent contest age 6, singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Terrifying moments as she could barely reach the microphone. However, this also marked the beginning of her love of music and performance. Inspired by such a musical upbringing, Amy studied classical piano and singing, but also developed an intimate love affair with jazz in her teens, a difficult and mature genre that touched Amy very deeply, possibly because the complexity of this style reflected the events that were occurring in her life during her initial stages of a developing passion. She experienced some very rare medical conditions in her early years, being declared as one of the only out of 5 children like her in the UK at the time. She developed cataracts in both her eyes, leaving her almost blind. Wow. And then diagnosed with a rare nerve condition, which meant she was unable to feel hot, cold, or superficial pain. Due to this nerve condition, she also developed osteoarthritis, leaving her almost wheelchair bound and caused her growth to stop completely. So, Amy, what an inspiring story. So, obviously, that's absolutely incredible, powerful story, and that must have been a lot of issues that you had as a young child. So, where did it all start for you?
You know what? All I can remember is wearing glasses, these really thick glasses, and they had to be tied with string because it kept falling off. And I had these mittens on my hands, and that's my first memory. That's where it started. And then obviously I had to learn that I've got all of these things that I'm going to have to now navigate through, that life was never going to be normal. I'll have to wear glasses to see. I was going to have to stay away from hot stuff, which, even now I forget when things are hot. Yeah. And I think people kind of don't realize that it's kind of a hazard, because they take it for granted that you can actually, if something's hot, you will feel it. But if something's hot, I can't feel it. And the only time I will know is when my hands are burnt, or when I stepped on a plug once. It went through my big toe and it didn't heal for a year. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Blimey. So how and why did you get into doing voiceovers? How did that all start for you?
Oh, okay. Well, I was a singer. As I said, I was very musical from a very young age. So I sung ever since. And I've got 2 older sisters, and we all did this trio, and we wanted to be like the next En Vogue or girl group. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But so I did that for probably until about a few years ago. And then I kind of felt a little bit down about the music industry, I think towards the start of 2018. And I was looking at other things to do. And while I was singing, I was doing interviews, and you have to talk on the microphone. So I was doing a lot of speaking, and people would comment saying, "Oh, you got such a lovely voice," and they'd ask me to do.
I've got an amazing voice.
Oh, thank you.
Lovely tone,
Yeah. Well, I never even thought about it. It didn't even occur to me that I could do something like voiceovers. So, and acting, forget acting. Since I was young, literally, I'm honest, I'm a crap liar. So I said blatantly, I'm really crap at lying. So everything is just on my face. So I thought I'd be a really bad actress. But I didn't think that singing was also acting as well, just through words, through song, rather than words through speaking. And then I think my elder sister, was having a conversation with one of her friends, and she's a videographer, or she makes films and adverts, and she was using voiceover artists, and she goes, "Amy, did you know that they pay them so much money and you can do it from home?" I was like, "Ooh, okay." Get started. So that was the initial. I was like, okay, it's not maybe a bad thing. So yeah. I kind of did a little bit of research, bought the equipment, made a voice reel, started sending it out. And you know what? I think it just totally resonated, and I absolutely loved it. And there has been no looking back.
Oh, fantastic. So can you talk about some of the challenges you've had to overcome, especially with your condition that you've had in your life? What challenges has caused you because of that?
The biggest one is confidence, because I was short. I'm like 4'5", so wherever I go, people stare at me. And back then, I was born in 1980, so back then it was like there wasn't so many diverse people in Swansea and Wales that you get now. And for a long time, I thought I was the only one who was my size. I didn't know there were other people like that because I never saw it. So that was the biggest thing that I struggled with, and it did help. It held me back a lot because I was quiet. I didn't talk to strangers. I would only talk to people that I knew. So I think that is the biggest challenge. Also was the walking, because I couldn't. Standing up was like doing a marathon, and it got to the stage where literally I needed help to walk from one end of the room to the other and forget.
No.
Shopping. I used to hate going shopping because it was such a trauma. And my parents, they'd make me, and my sisters, they would make me do it. And at the end, I came back and I was just so like exhausted because it was so tiring. So when you're on stage, it's the mobility. And I used to limp as well, and I used to hate the way I looked. I just didn't like it because I mean, it's not so bad now, but back then it was just quite bad. So all of that really did have an effect on my confidence and the way people perceived me and the way actually I perceived myself, because I don't think I had much self-worth back then.
So what got you your confidence? What was the turning point for you?
I think it was, it's funny. So the first, say, 15 years of my life, I think I felt like I was kind of sleeping. I was living every day. I mean, I do things. There was a lot of good times, but I don't think I thought of the future, and I wasn't living in the present. And then at 16, I always call it a light bulb moment, because I don't know what happened. And it's like something went off. We went to Ireland on a holiday trip. Maybe that was the luck of the Irish or something. I don't know. But it kind of brought me out of myself. And my sisters went to Sinha College at the time, and Millie was 2 years older than me. She was still there. And they were like, come on, you've got to do something to do with your music, because at the time, I think they just started music. I was in a private school and very limited subjects. It was all academic, wasn't very creative. So I was actually going to do, science, I think, or computer studies and maths. It was something crazy like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. It's just, I may have done okay in my GCSEs, but for A-level, no way. So the thought of doing music, and I'd already done my grade 5, and I was about to do my grade 8 singing. So they accepted me because it was like a GCSE, I think, in music. So yeah, and I think doing that and then meeting my friends, and that amazing friends, and going out and being a teenager, and getting out there, it kind of was the start of how I got my confidence to grow.
Oh, amazing. Which is obviously being surrounded by other people, which is what I always say. And I'm a massive advocate, as you know, with Introbiz. We always say, surround yourself with good people and nice people and positive people, and they will lift you up, won't they?
Yeah.
So what would you say is your biggest failure to date, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, so I think I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head, obviously with the physical, because I'm very physical. I had a lot of my mind constantly working. So when I was younger, I used to think that if I was famous, all my problems would go away. So I used to see people like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and I used to dream about making it and becoming a not even a pop star almost. I know, and I'm not, not a pop person myself, and they've never had anybody with disability. So I don't know how I got that into my head, but that was how I saw it. And then when it didn't happen over the years, I thought, well, I have to do this because that was in my head. I want to be famous. I didn't really want to be famous. That wasn't me. I don't crave fame. I'm not a complete extrovert. So I think what I saw as my greatest failure actually wasn't a failure at all. It was a learning curve, because it made me understand that I didn't want that. I wasn't a one-dimensional person that just craves fame. There's so much more that, was behind me, and so much more that I wanted to say. But I just saw it as the like holy grail, that I want to do, because I saw everyone do it and they seem so happy.
Listen, we all have, hassles and problems to deal with, and life is not a bed of roses, so they say, isn't it? And it's so true, isn't it? We've all got challenges, but I'm always a great believer of is how you deal with them. And I think, we all fall down. We got to get back up, fighting harder, stronger, Yeah. So what is the biggest myth about your profession that you want to debunk, really?
The biggest myth is that everyone can do it. And I think because it's speaking, most people obviously do have that speaking voice. They may not have a pleasant speaking voice, but they have a speaking voice. So they think that they can do it. But and the one thing that I want to say is, yes, everybody can, everybody does. And you know what, if you really want to try it, absolutely try it. But it takes more. I mean, I thought it was just reading until I actually did it myself. I took a script, and it's not just about reading. It's about having the character behind your voice, having the expressiveness about your voice, so the different tone, the different articulation that you have to put across. And so also having the versatility to do different things, not to be monotone. You know, you don't want to do the same thing for every script. So it's not as easy as you think, although you can be taught. And you know, it's just because I think I found it easier because I had so much vocal experience. So I think it came naturally. So yeah, that is the biggest myth, I would like to say.
Yeah, I know. When I was younger, my mum and dad sent me to elocution lessons. So, you know, and again, it was all about, you know, it was, and I did ballet and tap when I was younger. So I was, you know, I was constantly being on the stage and singing or trying to sing, because I can't sing for toffee, you know. But you know, I think when you're in elocution, they teach you how to talk and how to accentuate things and how, you know, how to express yourself, you know. So I think that stood me in good stead for doing what I'm doing, to be honest with you, you know. So what advice would you give to somebody wanting to pursue a career in voiceovers?
I think that if you have experience doing any type of vocal training, then I think you've got a head start. But if you're coming at it from scratch, I think maybe getting a coach, dare I say it, because it'd be worthwhile. I mean, you don't have it to have it constant, you don't have to have it regular, but at least a couple of sessions just to show you how to get into the whole thing, how to articulate, how to just put your presence across. Because again, it's not just about the script. You're putting who you are into the script to make it come alive. So, and I think there's so many things on YouTube that you can look up, you know, get a nice piece of equipment, and it's the editing software. Just learn how to do the basics of editing, because that will really help you, especially if you want to do it from home, or you don't want to go to a studio where there's already a professional editing person.
Yeah. So what do you love about your job, Amy? You know, once you've finished product and you've done it all, and then you hear it, what, you know, what is it that gives you that kick of, you know, of what you love in your job?
You know what? I think the key thing I love is that I help somebody else put their vision across. So I think whereas as the singing, it was all about me and all about my voice. And if somebody loves my voice or somebody loves my music, but with the voiceovers, it's like I'm a facilitator for somebody else. And it's just so they gave me, you know, the brief of how they would like it to sound and target audience that they want to kind of engage. And then I feel like a sense of pleasure that I've helped them do that through my gifts that I have. So yeah, that is a thrill, and hearing it is great, but that is a thrill, just making somebody happy that, you know, that they've achieved that.
Yeah, and it must be, God, is it hard, you know, because like if you've got two jobs on the go and they're one after the other, so you have to go into character. So it's a bit like acting, isn't it? You go into one character and then you've got to go into another. How difficult is that? Or how easy is that? Is it easy for you?
Yeah, it is easy. Well, I play the diva card every time people goes, come on now. It's like singing, come on, sing us a song. So I do an accent, and I will do it now and again. But I kind of like go, I need the space. I need to be in the kind of like in the zone. So if I'm doing a child character, I kind of like do like how I would say it, like, hi, like, you know, hi, my name is Amy. So I kind of get into character for it. Or it's like in a Welsh, I had to do a script for what is it, testimonials, and they wanted it in a Welsh accent, so I had to put on a Welsh accent, and you know, but kind of get into it. So you kind of do that, and you know, get in the zone. And same with American, although I do watch a lot of American TV, so that's kind of easy. But yeah, it's kind of just getting in the zone. So it's not that difficult.
Yeah, it must be so interesting though, and so varied your job. You know, doing all these different characters and saying all these different scripts. It must be phenomenal.
Yeah, and you know, and even when I'm doing my normal voice, because this is obviously the way I speak in a lot of time where I do the voiceovers, but it's no two scripts can be the same. I mean, I remember when I was singing, not very many people wanted me to sing a pop. I was in a band, but they found it difficult for me to be the lead singer, because they're used to doing backing harmonies and they wanted everything to be the same. But I never used to sing the song in the same way. So for jazz, that works really well. But for pop singing, that not so much when you've got other people involved. And that would be the only problem. But that's how I approach reading a script. So every script is unique, and I don't do anything in the same way. It's like life. I know we're having this conversation. If we had the same conversation, I wouldn't say the same things, you know? So
that's right. Awesome. So is there a moment in your life that you could have changed your entire path and not gone down the voiceover route? You know, was there, because I know there's like sliding doors, isn't there? You know, sometimes you can see an opportunity and you think, well, do I go down that road or do I go down that road? Was there ever any other opportunity or other road that you could have gone down?
I think as far as voiceovers, no. I think singing, I might not have gone down because I didn't realize that you could do singing for a career. So I thought you had to be a pop singer and that was it. You got discovered or you wouldn't be able to do it. But what Kasine College taught me was that I could go study jazz. So I studied jazz, and that was a proper, a kind of established form of singing apart from classical music. So, and then that kind of opened it up. But what happened when I was, I think I was 19, I was about to go to music college and I got rushed into a hospital with ulcerative colitis.
No, never.
Yeah, so I was on the verge. They wanted to take my colonite, and I call that. And people say, "Well, what happened?" And I call that my angel moment, where something happened. And my dad is a GP, and he convinced them to try this drug that they used on somebody else, some other patient, sorry. And they gave it 8 hours for it to work. And they did my X-ray, and literally probably about 0.5% it went down. The inflammation went down, and I didn't have to have that life-changing operation, because if that would have happened, my whole life would have changed. I wouldn't be the person that I am right now, because it would, knock back after knock back, and that would have just probably, I remember that would have hit the nail on the head, and that would be like, I can't do it. Yeah, I think so. I think if that had happened, my life would be completely changed.
Wow, I know, it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. So do you have a motto in life that you aim to live by, and how do you maintain a positive mindset?
I do have a motto. My motto is, only because I've experienced it itself. I don't say things that I don't experience, but I do believe that anything is possible because I've experienced it. But all it does take is an imagination. The hardest thing to do is to imagine. When you're in a state where you see no way out, you don't want to imagine the great things that could happen, but that's the time that you have to do it, because once that imagining has happened, you can see it, you have a vision, you put the thoughts into the universe. All you have to do then is be patient. And I know sometimes people can't do that, but be patient and then just wait for it to happen. And oh my gosh, 100%. It really does. And I am just literally, I'm a witness to it, because so many times in my life, put the thoughts out there and the opportunities have come. And I'm a full believer in mindset and and not just being positive, because everybody goes, because you're positive one minute and negative the other minute. So the next minute. So I think I like to replace positivity with optimism, because if you have a natural sense of optimism, then everything, even at the darkest times, you will always see that little bit of light, rather than looking for the positivity, because not everything you will find positivity in. But if it's inside of you, and it's just practice, training yourself to be optimistic, to use that word, optimistic, and then it'll be natural to you, and you'll see life change around you.
Absolutely. And I'm a great believer of the law of attraction, as you probably have heard me speak so many times, and it's so true. And I always say, never look back on your life and regret anything, always do what you want to do in your life, and think, well, even if you fail, because that's what a lot of people, I think, are afraid of these days. They're afraid of failure. But I always say fail is first attempt in learning, and I think we've all got to fail to become better. Look, when I first started networking, I got it completely wrong, and now I'm running 2 networking companies, so, you've got to get through those bad times to get through to the good times, haven't you?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. And I was thinking, where does the term failure come from, and where is our perception of that word, and who said it? Because I think failure, as you said, it's not about, it's to who? Are you failing yourself, or are you failing somebody else? I didn't become famous as I thought I would. So, is that really a big failure to everybody else? No, not at all. Okay, yeah, it didn't happen the way I thought, and I just have to readjust my mindset and what my next steps was going to be. But that's not failure at all. That's just, and I think it's just the way we approach certain things. So yeah, no, you are very spot on.
Yeah, but I think, like, when you said about, you wanted to be famous, your voice is famous, because when you think of all those people that use your voice, and then the amount of people that will see that in your own right, you are famous. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. It just wasn't in a, all over TV, and you never know, because I actually might be not in that kind of fame, not in that one, and as I thought, not in the one-dimensional fame, but in the sense that I kind of want to put myself out there and use my voice properly, rather than just be a singer that people go, oh yeah, I hear that singing voice. I think that
definitely. So, what's been the most fun project you've been involved with, Amy?
A fun project. Well, it was the narration one that I did for a children's animation a year ago. But I've done a few more children's characters since then, and I love putting on children's characters. It's a little bit for the throat to get on, but
I know you are really good, actually, because every time, like when you come onto the Introbiz events, I do say, "Go on, sing, Amy." I know. Oh,
it is fun. It's weird because then I can use my singing voice in a different way that I never actually used to do before. So again, that's a new thing that I've discovered.
Yeah. So what other projects have you got coming up now with as a voiceover artist that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, well, I've got a few more projects coming up, but I'm also really excited that I'm releasing a blog. It's going to be a 10-series blog, all about my life. But not just about, everything that's happened to me. It's kind of like unique stories in a fun, light-hearted way, because things, I live through every day is a challenge. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy waking up in the morning and going about my day. But besides all of that, some funny things have happened because of it. Like, I met one of my best friends because I couldn't see who they were, and they kind of waved at me, and I thought I knew them. I've done that a lot. I've kind of gone up to random people thinking I've known them. It was. I'm thinking, I go up close going, oh no, I don't know who you are. Okay, I'm going to stand here. All right, okay. Yeah, I've done that a lot. But, things like that. Or the book, I think the first one that I've just released is, I always used to watch a lot of TV. So, because I never used to read because of my eyesight. So I always thought that the TV would kind of impact me in a big way, but it wasn't. It was a book that changed my reality. So things like that, and how being small, I kind of got certain things in my head again about being small and about my self-worth. I thought being small made me less worthy than tall people. And I thought that for quite some time. And I look back and thinking, oh my God, what was I thinking? But I made that. And nobody said that to me. I made that all by myself. So yeah, it's a 10-series vlog about all of those incidents. And Pop Idol, hardly anybody knows that I auditioned for Pop Idol, which I don't tell people. But that was a big moment because of what it taught me. So yeah, things like that. So I'm very excited.
And what did it teach you?
It taught me that I was camera shy, and I didn't know. Really? Video camera shy. Yeah. I was actually in the room with Simon Cowell and the judges, and there were just an array of video cameras, and I just froze. I was like, oh my God. And I just didn't want to be there. Kind of, how you lift yourself out of your body and you're kind of looking down going, oh God, get me out. Horrible. But if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have known. And then I wouldn't have taken the steps to rectify that. Yeah. And so now I'm very comfortable with cameras.
Awesome. I love it. Fantastic. So what would be the advice you would give to your teenage self, knowing what you know today?
Oh God, chill. Mm-hmm. Don't take things so seriously. I took every little thing, very seriously. Like life was ending if it didn't happen or it didn't go a certain way. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. And to know that everything always works out, even when it doesn't look like it's going to work out. Some way or another, it always works out. Either because when it does, it just comes to a conclusion, or you just find a different pathway. So it has to work out because your mindset shifts, and that's a constant. And I wish, because I stopped saying things like that, but it would have been more beneficial to me, I think, when I was younger, maybe getting to certain things quicker. Maybe it's taken me a longer time to get to conclusions. Yeah.
Awesome. And one last question before we finish, well, two actually, is how important do you think networking is when you are actually in your own business?
Oh my God, it is very, when I was with the singing in the music industry, my form of networking was in clubs. and where I had to get drunk, well, not get drunk, sorry, wrong term. I used to do with a drink or a cocktail, you know, late at night. And the way I approached networking was kind of like you, Tracy, when you kind of went in there and said, this is what I do, you know, you're gonna buy from me. So I'd approach you like that. I met certain people and I'd tell them what I do. And I was like thinking, well, can you help me? And then I'd be surprised when nothing actually turned out the way I wanted it to. And I think doing this networking, especially online, first of all, I'm glad that these networking online sessions have come about, because it's really helped frame my confidence on how to approach it. And it's the relationships that we all know now. Everybody's talking about it. People buy from people. If you're a nice, genuine person and you really come across like you care about somebody else, then you'll find people will just graduate towards you. And yeah, networking is such a big thing. Just in life, you know what? You use networking to make friendships and romantic relationships. It's everything. So if you can just nail that, it's all about, you know, connections rather than what you can get out of it. I think people will definitely benefit.
Yeah, awesome. So how can people reach out to you, Amy, if they want to get in contact with you, whether they want you for a voiceover or, you know, they want some advice? How can they reach out to you?
Well, I do have a website, amysinha.com. Think of it as sin and then ha.com. But I'm also on YouTube. If you just type my name in, I've got all my interview YouTube channel. And there's also different YouTube channels I have for my singing and then my original songs as well. But you can also find me on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on Clubhouse.
Yeah, we love Clubhouse.
Oh, Clubhouse. So yeah, really down with that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's absolute pleasure. Loved our time together, Amy. It's, you know, it's been an honor to have you on the Introbiz Global Summit. And I will see you very, very shortly on an Introbiz event. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Love you lots.
Bye. Bye-bye.